Hello, knockouts. Tonya TKO here, and today we're going to be talking about Ready to Love Season 1, Episode 4. And a lot of you were really excited for me to review this episode, so I was looking forward to seeing it. And once I did, I was just left blown away. I left that episode like, what in the hell did I just watch? And it took me an hour just to let everything just simmer and marinate. So I'm Tonya TKO, self-love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTKO.com. And I'm reviewing this show because there's so many, it's more than just a show. It's more than just a show. This is a snapshot into life, into their lives, but as well as a chance for us to reflect inward. So I'm hoping that this video can be a way to start the dialogue, because the show is really starting to get good now. And there's one key thing that I want to talk about, but I'm going to go down the list of all of the things that I noticed in this show. So basically, this was the episode where Melinda got herself kicked off of the show because she broke her heart. I don't even know what that was about, but we're going to get into that. So in this show, Alex went on a date with the girl that he'd really been feeling. But basically, really feeling is just, external cues. The way a person looks, the way a person moves like the stuff he was talking about. I really love her freckles, the color of her eyes, and all this other stuff. And he was like kind of opening himself up more to her than other people, just merely based off of the attraction that he felt to her. And it dawned on me in this episode, and some of you had said it before, but when Nephew Tommy was like, this journey is about you three finding love. So the journey is really all about the men. That's why Tommy is coaching them, but the women are just kind of out there on their own, just reverberating. I hate that the show is set up this way, that there's 12 women who have to fight over 3 men, and it starts getting just a little dicey. But anyway, let's jump into the list. So I noticed that in their situation, the kiss between them evolved naturally. Unlike the kiss between Melinda and Aaron, where she had to like bribe him, like, oh, if you like the food, give me a kiss, and just cringy. And she's going, oh, one of the main things I wanted to say, not one of the main things, but I wanted to express. Do you guys remember in this episode how when it was time for rock climbing, how Mike was like, black people don't go rock climbing? And that's one of the things that I was talking about from that show, Chad Loves Michelle, and how these new experiences of fun and stepping outside of the comfort zone are kind of like when I asked whether or not I felt like a black man would have gone to the equine therapy without being like, black people don't do this. I'm a black man. Black men don't do this. And we do that so much that we actually stop ourselves from having a lot of fun. I remember when I was younger, like in New York, there's a lot of water. There's not that much water out here in California. But I used to kayak, and people would be like, black people don't kayak. And black people don't camp. Black people don't go backpacking. And it's like, why are all of the fun things that black people don't, quote unquote, don't do? We really have to branch outside of that. But that's not what I really wanted to talk about. So did you guys notice how Melinda, like when Aaron was setting up his date with another woman, Melinda was the one calling him, talking about, when are you going to come over and let me cook for you? Bribing him with food. And it's like, I really want to talk about her and how we have to allow men to come forward and rise. We got to get them on the record. We have to allow them and their desire for us. Listen, you may be able to just ease into, you may be able to ease into a relationship with a man, but you will never really, truly, fully know where you stand unless that man rises to the mantle of manhood and really puts his stamp down on pursuing you. You have got to let a man pursue. You've got to let a man get to know you. Men just don't really appreciate things that come too easily. Passion in and of itself between people is really invigorated by the thought of losing this person. The thought of not being able to have this person. I mean, if you even think about life, look how many of us take life for granted because, and we know that we're going to die and we don't know when we're going to die, but we take life for granted because we're like, oh, we get into this pattern, this routine where the sun just comes up every day. And it's not until when somebody close to us dies that we're like, oh, I gotta live life. It's like a reminder, like snap, so it's like when in the courting stage is really a time to like get to know one another. She's like talking about, oh, I've had sex with him in my mind, showing people pictures that they took on FaceTime together. And I'm like, is he going around showing people pictures of you? Is he, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then when she was like in the restaurant, I know I'm all over the place because there's so many ideas that I want to get out. In the restaurant, when she was like, you let me show you receipts, and she's like sliding through all of these FaceTimes. I'm like thinking to myself, okay, but who initiated those FaceTimes? You know what I mean? It's like she's jumping head in, going all out, and then it makes me wonder, like, if you were to look at her behavior, what type of man do you think would be good for Melinda? Like, there are some people who are like, oh, Melinda would be good for, like, the type of man that she would be good for is like a mama man, like a softie, right? And I'm thinking to myself, she's setting herself up because the type of love that she's interested in is lust. Any man who is like all about the pursuit, all seeing you and being like, I want you, that's just physical. It's just based on physical characteristics alone. It's all about lust. And if you don't use that time of pursuit for him to get to know you, then you've lost out. This is why you while he's in that lust crazed state, you've got to elongate the dating process, having him get to know who it is that you are. I saw a preview for the upcoming episode, and that same girl that Alex was so head over heels for, she started acting a little possessive, and then now all of a sudden he's reconsidering. So like he was all open and all this other stuff just based off of looks alone. But then when you start to get to know, also another thing that I noticed is, you guys notice how men behave differently with different women. Like Shatava, and in these situations, like Shantae, I believe her name is, how they kind of led with sensuality, like they're on the bull ride and, moving with one another, etc. And so, yeah, so it's like, yeah, a man will go along with the sensuality because, I mean, of course, everybody loves sensuality. People love the way sex feels. And if there's a path, an easy pathway to sex, of course a man is going to jump on that pathway. But what else is there besides the pathway to sex? So it's like, you could lead with the bedroom eyes and all this other stuff if you want to. But if you notice, the girls that the guys were feeling, they didn't try to push up on not one of them. They didn't. If you notice, the girls that the guys were feeling, they weren't trying to push up the pelvis on them and rub on them, and none of that. None of that. However, when the women came through the door, not exposing the sexuality, but oozing this, I'm ready for you, baby. I'm ready for you, daddy. He's like, yeah, well, I might be ready too. Even Mike even said that. Nonetheless, so here we go. Oh, did you guys notice how Aaron has no rhythm? In order to be like a really good dancer, a really good sexual partner, you have to be concerned about your partner, the person that you're in this union with. And he had no rhythm on the dance floor, which really made me wonder about him in bed. And if you look at the way he navigates, he seems so clueless. I'm like, how did you make it to 30 something years old going around, what do you call this, leading different women on and all this other stuff, and not realize that it ends up in a blow up? How do you not realize that by now? Notice how shook he looked when they asked him to cut things off. Imagine if the show never asked him to cut things off. How long would this situation have gone on with him and Melinda? And that's why I'm saying this is why you have to just take your time getting to know people. Let me see what else I have on my list. I was really happy that Melinda stood up for herself, you know, inside of the restaurant and decided to really call Aaron out on saying one thing behind closed doors and another thing when the cameras were rolling. But it also makes you wonder, you know, okay, listen, when he said what he liked about her, he was like, I really like your drive and your ambition. And when I think about, you know, my life, I think about a life that includes going to get it and making money and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, she's going to attract those young players who know how to say the right things, who see this. She looked like she was living in a penthouse and she looks like she's living well. She talked about her 6-inch red bottoms. And I'm like, okay, this is a woman with money who's putting her heart out there on the line. And she's going to attract those young playboys because what is she requiring? She's not requiring him to really do or show up in any real sort of way. So it's like, if you just want yourself a little boy toy to just come around and spend your money and stuff like that, say a few nice things to you while he's out with the next girl, the young girl, the cute girl that he's paying all these compliments to, who he's hugging up on and kissing up on naturally. Did you guys notice how when he went to kiss Stormy, she moved his face to the side? I was like, okay, girl. All right. And so, you know what? Everything else that I got on my list, I'm going to leave for you all to talk about in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts and your point of view about this, because the show is really starting to get intriguing, really putting the men to task with making a decision and going through the routes. I'm learning some things from this show, and I'm also seeing how the navigation takes place and just watching how people roll. Take your time to watch this show and really just kind of look at how people navigate. And on that note, listen, I will see you all in the comments. I want to hear your point of view. I'm on to watch the next episode, so stay tuned for that, and keep sending me your video ideas and your suggestions, and I'll see you guys later. Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Peace.